Hi friends, let's look at an example activity for reviewing melodic concepts at the beginning of the school year. In the last video, we talked about the review process and we looked at an example for reviewing rhythm. So I recommend watching that video first because it gets more into the review process itself and kind of how this whole trajectory of activities is put together. Today, let's look at melody. This is an example for reviewing so, mi, la, and so, la, so, mi, but the process is going to work for any grade level, any concept. And that process is essentially the same as our regular concept plans. The difference is that it won't take as much time and that students are going to be doing most of the work themselves as far as recalling information and teaching us. So there's nothing for us to teach. There's nothing new here, ideally, because again, ideally, students already know all of this material. And if they don't remember this material, this process is how we're going to find out. So let's imagine that we want to review so, mi, la. In this case, what does that word review mean? Well, for one thing, it means that there's a set of knowledge that we want students to have. So one of those things that we want students to know is that in this class, we have a vocabulary and a common notation practice for solfege like so, mi, la. We also want students to know that so and mi are a skip apart and so and la are a step apart, and that means that if so is on a line, then mi is on the line below it, and if so is on a line, then la is on the space above it. But we can also switch those around. They can live anywhere on the staff, right? So if so is on a space, then mi is on the space below it, and if so is on a space, then la is on the line above it. Lots of things to keep track here. And the other thing about all of this vocabulary, the whole process for notation, all of it, is that not all musicians are going to write these pitches in the same way or use them the same way in music. Sometimes real musicians are going to call these sounds something else, and sometimes they're going to write it in a different way, and sometimes real musicians won't write it down at all. Now, there are also some things that we want students to do with their musical knowledge. These are the skills. So we want them to sing songs with known melodic concepts. We want them to move to the melodic contour of these concepts. We're also going to orally identify known melodies. We're going to read and write those known melodies in graphic notation and in standardized Western notation. We'll also use those melodies in part work activities like partner songs, and then we're going to make creative decisions with these. So things like improvising and arranging with known melodic concepts. So that's kind of a lot, right? And it's not all going to happen in this one activity, but in the overall review plan itself, these are the things that we're going to be doing. And then the last thing is our big idea. Just like in the last video, our big idea, our macro concept, is still going to be ensemble. So let's look at an activity example with On a Mountain. And this song is on a mountain stands a lady, who she is I do not know. All she wants is gold and silver, all she wants is an ice cream cone. Now jump out someone, jump out someone. So with this song, we get to review so, la, so, mi, and we have another pattern in here, so, mi, la. So this is one song with both melodic patterns, and that is why we are using this song in particular. That's why this song is so valuable, because it has both of those patterns in very clear, extractable phrases. Now, what do we want to do with all of this knowledge? We're going to apply our knowledge of melodic contour by writing on a hand staff, both individually and with a small ensemble. So how will we know what students remember from last year? We're going to listen and watch students as they use these concepts in the game. Next, we'll listen and watch them articulate what they hear in the melodic contour. There's a lot to get into there. We're also going to listen to them label the sounds with the classroom vocabulary, and then we get to transfer and apply those concepts in a new setting by writing the melodies on a hand staff. So let's jump in, and there is certainly a lot of jumping in this game. We're going to start by singing the song and playing the game together as an ensemble. So we are all standing in a circle, and we're going to pat a steady beat while we sing the first half of the song. On a mountain stands a lady, who she is I do not know. All she wants is gold and silver, all she wants is an ice cream cone. In the middle of the circle, there are two students, and instead of saying, jump out someone, we'll sing those students' names. And each of those students gets a chance to jump with a 2-foot flat foot jump, which means both feet are going to leave the ground at the same time and both feet land on the ground at the same time. So it is a jump, it is not a leap where one foot goes first, right? So those two students, they line up shoulder to shoulder, and then we'll sing their names individually for them to jump out, and whoever jumps the furthest is the winner. So we would sing, jump out Avery, jump out Campbell, or whoever is in the middle of the circle, and then whoever has jumped the furthest is the winner, and they will go choose their replacement. Each of them chooses their replacement in the next round of the song, and they have that first section to have tapped someone on the shoulder and switched places with them. So they have, on a mountain stands a lady, who she is I do not know. All she wants is gold and silver, all she wants is an ice cream cone. That much time to choose their replacement and switch places. Thinking about our big idea of ensemble, notice that everyone is included in this game. Everyone sings, but there's also something really special about having everybody in the class sing your name in particular, right? And knowing that you have a really special job to do in this game, in this round of the game. So everyone matters collectively here. And also, we each have a role to play to help the game run smoothly. So that's one piece of like the ensemble component. Another piece that's really important is that when we are in an ensemble all together, everyone is included. And that means that we don't always pick the people that we play with at recess for the next round of the game. We can use this game as a way to practice kind of choosing lots of different people from the group. Again, because everyone is involved. Everybody has a place here in this classroom. So now let's zoom in on those patterns. So, la, so, mi, and so, mi, la. And let's do some aural identification of these melodies. So let's sing the first 4 beats, and we're going to trace the melodic contour. Here we go. On a mountain stands a lady. Let's think about that word. Mountain. How many sounds do you hear in mountain? Lulu. 2 sounds, that's correct. In this class, what do we call these 2 sounds? So and me, that's right. They're very easy to identify, right? It's a very, that's a very recognizable interval, isn't it? So students will recognize so and me. Is there anything else in this part of the song that's different on a mountain? Yes, there is. What's different about the other sounds in this part of the song? Loo, 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 loo. One of them is higher. Which one is the high sound on a mountain? That's right, it's the word a. In this class, what do we call that high sound that's above? So we call it la. And in this class right now, we have our solfege hand signs that we use. So we can sing this whole thing on solfege. So, la, so, mi, so, la, so, mi. Excellent. But there's another part of the song that I am curious about. And that's the part that is jump out someone. So let's sing that and trace the melodic contour. Here we go. Jump out someone. Let's do it on a neutral syllable. Loo, 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 loo. Are there any parts of those words, of those sounds, that have a twin with mountain? Loo, loo. Jump out someone. Yes, that word someone is just like mountain, which means that it is what? So and me. That's correct. So what about in this phrase? Is there anything higher than so in this part of the song? Loo, 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 so, mi. Yes, there is. I hear it as well. And in this class, what do we call that high pitch? We still call it la. So now let's think about this on solfege. We know that it is lu, 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 sol, mi. And we know that this high pitch is la. So can you sing the rest of it on solfege? Yes, I bet we can. So, mi, la, so, mi. So now let's apply all of that to writing these melodies on the staff. And this involves a lot of procedural knowledge as far as steps and skips and lines and spaces, and there's a lot going on here. So one of the things that can make it a little bit more tactile is putting it on a barred instrument first. So we have some graphics here. We can look at the shape of our mountain going up and down. That's exactly the same thing as the shape of our barred instrument. So let's sing while we point to this barred instrument on a mountain. On a mountain stands a lady. Let's sing it on solfege this time. Sol, la, sol, mi. Sol, la, sol, mi. And now let's do jump out someone. Starts on so again. Jump out someone. Let's sing it on solfege. So, mi, la, so, mi. So now we can take this and we can put it on the staff. One of the really nice things is that when we look at this barred instrument, the steps and skips don't change at all. All we do is take some lines and put them across the instrument, something like this, but nothing has changed. So now we can sing so, mi, la, so, mi. And it's again the exact same thing. So let's put that on our hand staff. If I were to tell you that so lives right here, then mi is on the space below it. And if mi is on this space, and if so is on this space, then la is on this line right here. So let's sing this on solfege and point to our hand staff. This is on a mountain, but we'll sing it on solfege. Sol, la, so, mi, sol, la, so, mi. Excellent. Let's do that next phrase. Jump out someone. This is so, mi. Here we go. So, mi, la, so, mi. So, mi, la, so, mi. Excellent. And then another really fun thing to do is instead of just pointing to your own hands, students turn to a partner and they hold up their left hand. They use their right hand to point to their neighbor's hand staff. So we're kind of working together. And it's a nice way to actually double check that we are both on the same page as far as where the lines and spaces and steps and skips are. So we can turn to a partner and kind of work together to make sure that we have all of these procedural pieces down when it comes to notating on the staff. So just like in our last video, these review activities are the assessment activities. And that's what makes this system so pedagogically useful, but also manageable for us because we don't have to stop class to do these assessments. Instead, we're going to intentionally construct these activities so that we can get a lot of data from students as they just sing and move and play. And so what that looks like is we're going to listen and watch students as they perform the melodic patterns in the singing game. And then we have our oral identification section where we are listening and watching students move to the melodic contour and describe it and then articulate what they hear. And then this is also where we are adding the classroom label. And then in this last step, we are going to listen and watch students as they write things on the hand staff in a really tactile way. So these activities give us a lot of information, and we could certainly stop there. But we could also learn even more from students by asking them to synthesize the information from our rhythmic content and our melodic content in a summative evaluation. And that is what we will talk about in the next video.